All right, so like I was saying, Ford's going through and like decontenting, as they say, their vehicles. They're taking a whole lot of features that formerly were standard features off of a lot of these trim levels. And one of the things they took off of this truck is the dampened tailgate, where when you drop the tailgate, it will come down slowly instead of slamming, right? So, you know, I could go to the dealership and have them throw some stuff on here, but that would be pretty expensive. So I went onto Amazon and I just bought one of these tailgate assist kits. Works for the 15 and newer F-150 trucks. DZ is a brand I've actually heard of before. They've been around for a long, long time making truck accessories. So, yeah, I mean, it pretty much just consists of a strut that you mount in here. And I know that this kind of a kit works really well because this is actually what I had on the Super Duty. So I'm just going to install one of these on here today, and that will fix the tailgate issue. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I need some kind of a bed cover because I got to keep my stuff out of the weather. And so anyway, I got a really inexpensive one for now coming from Amazon that I'm going to throw on here. I'll get a nicer one later, but for now I just got an inexpensive roll-up that I'm going to put on here. So let's get to it. So the parts list is extensive, let me tell you. I'm kidding. So you have the strut. They do give you a tool. You got 2 plates here, and you got 1 bolt, and some instructions. So the first thing that we have to do is install the tailgate plate. It's the one that goes down here on the tailgate, obviously, and it's got the ball stud on there. So take a 10mm wrench and very carefully, because it's going to be a little tricky to get in there. Actually, I'm going to take these instructions and kind of slide them down here to protect my paint, because the head of my ratchet is right up against the back of the truck there. All right, that actually was not very tight. So it says that we're going to remove the top bolt. I'll bring the camera over here and show you. And then you're just going to loosen the bottom bolt. So again, let me bring the camera over here and show you what's going on here. So on the tailgate here, you've got the bracket. So this one we're going to remove. That one you're only going to loosen it up, because this bracket here is going to slide down on there, and then you have some new hardware. So let's do that. I guess I don't really understand why we're not reusing the factory bolt that came out right here in this location. Oh, and this is not the correct tool. I've got to go over here and get an Allen socket, but yeah, they have you to use that new included button head bolt in the top here in place of the factory one. And I really don't understand that, but maybe it's a clearance issue. Doesn't look like it should be a clearance issue up here when the gate closes. But I don't know. I'm just going to follow the directions and see what happens. That's always the best thing to do, right? So I got that bottom bracket installed. Now it says that it wants me to remove this cable. And then we're going to take this bolt out. And I guess this one is going to rest in there like that. And then obviously that provides the 2 studs that you need to put your strut on. So again, very simple operation here, but I'm just really hoping everything fits. You know, these trucks, these newer ones, have a tie down bracket right here where if you've got lumber or something laying out over the tailgate, you can hook your tie strap here to strap things down. And I'm hoping that that doesn't, I don't think it will. I'm hoping that won't cause any interference. So here's the included tool. This one's probably pretty tight. Yeah, that one there's pretty tight. Let me go ahead and take this cable off like the instructions said, which means I got to lift the tailgate up a little bit. So I'll have to reposition the camera here. All right. Once I get it to a certain point, there we go, I can use the other end and twist it out faster. Let me make sure that I'm supposed to take this all the way out. I assume I am. It says to remove the tailgate cable from the bolt and remove the cable bolt. Okay. So we are going to remove that. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You got to go through here. Now this thing kind of shaped like a kidney bean, so I'm making sure that I'm going to put it in here the right orientation. Looks like it's just going to go like this with the flat part against the truck bed there, just like so, I'm assuming. Now here's what's interesting. It says a Mylar sheet, which is right here in the kit, has been provided to help prevent components from rubbing against the truck bed and tailgate in the event that any part becomes loose. So using scissors, cut the Mylar to the size needed and apply it to the truck bed and the tailgate, where the tailgate assist components will be in close proximity during opening or closing. So basically what they're saying is when the strut is in there, you may have some contact with the painted surface on the side of the tailgate here. So if you want to, you can take this Mylar sheet and just cut some pieces where this is really close to the paint, and that way it'll have like a rub, surface it can rub on without damaging the paint. I may do that. Heck, they provide it in the kit. Why not? But yeah, as far as this goes, that's all there is to it. We're just gonna tighten that back up. Let me get this positioned where I want it. Now, what I'm curious about here, maybe it's just because it's such a large bolt, but there's nothing to keep this from rocking, back and forth except for this tension on this one bolt here. Yeah, I guess it's pretty tight actually. So I'll crank down on this pretty good. All right, I guess that won't go anywhere. And then the orientation on this thing, the body of it they show at the top, and then the unexposed or the exposed part will be down to the bottom is the way they show it. And that way it just gives you more clearance down here around that. So should be able to just pop this on here like that. And then go down here. This is going to be fun. I probably should have done it in reverse order so I could pull up on this thing. But yeah, let me do that. Let me get a little flat blade screwdriver. I'm going to put the bottom one in because it'll be easier to pull up on this and snap that one in than the reverse of that operation. All right, so now I should be able to, there you go, hands free. That's what I'm talking about. So now all I got to do is put the Mylar pieces on here, and I see what they're saying now about the, here, let me get the camera, about the tie down bracket. See, some of these newer F-150s have this bracket right here, and that actually makes contact with the strut when you go to close it. It will actually make contact there and hit it. So that's the only unfortunate thing about this, is that I'm going to have to remove this bracket. But honestly, I don't really use these brackets all that often anyway. I haven't had them on previous trucks, and I've just really never used them, so that won't be a big deal. There you go, one project done. Now we'll move on to bed cover. So while I'm waiting on the Amazon truck to show up, I'm going to take a little break here and hey, let's just talk about the Lightning for a minute. So like I said, long line of gasoline and diesel trucks. Obviously the truck I had that I traded for this one was a 6.7 Powerstroke diesel, and it had a very mild tune on it. So lots of horsepower, more importantly, lots of torque. And when you get used to driving a diesel like that, it's really hard to go back to gasoline. I've done that in the past where I've had a diesel truck for a while and then I go back to a gasoline truck, and it's just really hard to make that adjustment because you get so used to not having to run high RPMs, being able to stay in higher gear range, you know, fourth, fifth, sixth on these 6-speed transmissions, being able to stay up there in the higher gears, lower RPM, not having to run the thing hard, you know, to do what you need to do. You get used to that mentally. And then when you go back to a gasoline truck, you know, and you're upshift, downshift all the time, and the tach needle is swinging around, you know, it's just hard to get readjusted to that. This truck was not hard to get adjusted to at all. 580 horsepower, I think, is what they rate these for. More importantly, 775 pound-feet of torque, and this truck is like 1,300 pounds lighter than that F-250 I had. So, needless to say, it makes very similar power to that Powerstroke diesel in terms of, you know, how it feels, how fast it is, the throttle response you get. So this was very easy for me to get used to. I mean, the throttle is so linear and smooth on this, you can't really tell it's electric. I mean, seriously, they did such a good job on this, and the brakes feel really good. They're nice and linear and strong. I'm honest when I say this, driving this truck really feels a lot like that F-250 Powerstroke diesel that I had. You know, it really feels a lot like that. It's got so much torque, it'll really sit you back in the seat if you get in it. But at the same time, if you want to drive it in a very normal fashion, it's so smooth and it just doesn't feel like it's working hard at all, you know? So in that regard, this has been really easy to get used to, and I love it so far. Now, Ford did, because of the promotion that they're running, they did send me a level 2 charger, and I got it today. They've got some that are Ford branded, you know, but I don't know if they ran out of them or what, but in like August, it's August right now, and maybe even like the ones that they sold at the end of July, people have been saying that they're not getting the Ford branded ones. Instead, the one I got is an Emporia brand. From everything I've heard, it's a really good brand and people like them. So I don't care. But it's a 48 amp level 2 charger. So it should get the job done just fine, because upon further research, that's about all this truck will accept on AC power. That's all it'll accept anyway. So there's no sense in me having an 80 amp charger if the truck's only going to take 48, right? So that'll be great. About 9 or 10 days from now is the soonest that I could get the electrician to come and install it for me. So I'm just going to have them put it in my garage back there on that back wall, I think. And that way I can get it to my truck. If I'm in the garage, I might be able to get it to the truck if it's parked out here where it's at right now, if I turn the truck around. And like I said, if my wife ever gets an EV, she can get to it also. Or at least the outlet, the power will be there so we can get, if she needs to get a different kind, you know. So I think I'm going to do that. But that, when I get that installed, it's really going to make this a whole lot more enjoyable, because right now I'm having to plug it up on just regular old 120 power, and it takes 2.5 days to charge this thing up on my 120 power. So that's kind of a bummer. My little town doesn't have any fast chargers yet, but up the road here in Frankfort, Kentucky, there's a Tesla supercharger station that's pretty much brand new, so I can go hit that. It's about 20 minutes up the road, and I can probably charge this thing up in like 30 or 40 minutes up there, so not too big of a deal. But anyway, what I was going to say is once I get my level 2 charger installed here, my range anxiety issues will kind of go away. But yeah, other than that, this truck has been fantastic so far. I mean, I really, really like it. Like I keep saying, it's comfortable. It's got all the features that I would want on a truck. I like the fact that it's very much a truck. You know, it's not some wild looking, not very capable, you know, party trick. This is actually a truck. I mean, it's got the same body as any other F-150. It's got 2,030 pounds of payload capacity, which is more than most of the F-150s that I've seen in the past. So I feel like it's, you know, very much capable of doing truck stuff, which is great. The interior is so comfortable, and I just really, really like it. So you know, I just got a couple little things here that I'm going to do to it. Like I said, I've already got this tailgate dampener on. I'm just waiting for the bed cover. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I swallowed a bug. Oh my goodness. It's summertime in Kentucky. There's bugs everywhere. Anyway, they've got these little bitty protector, I don't know what you want to call those. It's not really a splash guard, but it's like this little plastic piece that protects the corner of the paint there. There's not a whole lot back here though. And where I drive on gravel all the time, I'm thinking about putting some of the splash guards on the back here to kind of keep some of the gravel off the paint. Might do that up in the front too. Now, here's something that I've been thinking about. So I've never really liked these wheels that come on these Lightnings. Not a big fan. I don't know. They're just, some people love them. I don't really like them. And I've got those 18-inch Yokohamas that I had just bought to do a long-term review on. So I would really like to get those Yokohamas over here on this truck. The thing is, obviously these are 20s. So I'm trying to find a set of 18-inch Ford factory wheels. And I'll just put those Yokohamas on some factory wheels, put them on here. I like having a more durable tire out here. My whole family's had nothing but flats all summer. Sometimes they just hit, you know, a pretty good size of gravel out there. We got some pretty good chunks that are pretty sharp. And if you hit it the wrong way, it'll damage the tire. Sometimes you just run over nails and stuff out there. But anyway, we've been going through tires like crazy this summer, and I don't want to do that on this truck. We have enough vehicles to take care of the tires on. So I like having the heavier duty Yokohama tires back on here. Will be nice. So anyway, I'm going to try and get those on here so we can continue the review, and so that I'll have some tires on here that I like and I don't have to worry about. But I got to find some 18-inch wheels. I can see they've got these stupid two-piece lug nuts on here. These ones that have the tin cover that goes over the lug nut, and they end up being very problematic. So all right, so the bed cover's here. There's the cover, obviously. And then I got my rails and my hardware laid out over here. And the instructions, which I am actually going to read. So this shouldn't be too terribly bad. Usually these roll-up covers are pretty easy. You just set this rail over there where it goes, clamp it down, put this rail on, clamp it down. There's a seal that goes along the front there to take up that gap. And then the cover just affixes to the rails and unrolls. Should be pretty straightforward. So let me get to it. Well, I ran into a snag. Notice anything wrong there? Yeah, that cover is not the right one. Look at that. It's way too narrow. This is probably for a mid-size truck. Daggone it. So now I got to get the right one coming and get this one sent back. That's a bummer. Well, that's a real bummer, but I guess that's how it goes when you order stuff online like that. So they're going to come pick it up, but I'm not going to be able to get another top or a cover until later next week, unfortunately. And we're leaving Sunday, which is 2 days from now, to go down to the lake. So not going to work out. So I guess I won't be able to keep our stuff out of the weather back here. We'll have to make some room in the second row seating to put our stuff, at least stuff we don't want to get, you know, wet in case it rains or something like that. And then when we get back from vacation, back from the lake, then I'll try to find another bed cover somewhere else. But that's how it goes. 1 out of 2 projects. I guess it could be worse, right? But anyway, all right. I guess I'm going to go in the house now. We'll talk to you later.